Welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans congregate and fanboys bring a tread.
I thought you were going to make a balls of it again, but anyway, welcome, Jake. How are you doing?
Pretty good. But the best thing is, people, it's not what you ride; it's the fact that you ride. The people go out there. So if I see somebody out there in a piece of crap,
you're talking about motorbikes, not women, is it?
Right. Well, I'm too old for that shit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like a dog chasing a car. I can't drive when I get there. But anyhow, I see somebody driving, even if it's a piece of crap Chinese scooter. If they're having fun, I wave. I don't like some people. They don't wave to certain brands and all that crap.
Yeah. Now look. As long as everyone is out having a bit of fun, a bit of crack, what harm it is. So we had Japan this weekend. What do you think?
It was a cluster block. I mean, what else do you say?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose we'll talk about Martin again turning the needle on Pecco.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like let's talk about Martin. Look, he is being super consistent right now.
Yeah,
he's been very honest with the press as well, saying that he doesn't like dealing with this pressure. So he is dealing with it, but he's not saying that it's not there and I'm not feeling it. So look, he's being pretty honest with it, which I think it's actually quite good and sticks to him,
And consistency was not Martin's strong point for as long as
exactly, and that's where now I still have that feeling that there's the odd twist yet to come in the tail.
Yes.
Like we are 6 races out. Like, but look, he is
the oops. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have an oops feeling, and and look. I obviously hope it doesn't happen that he has an ups and he hurts himself, but I have a feeling an ups is coming for one of them. Now saying that, look, like he's riding really, really consistent, and in my view, where he's really improved is actually that he's gone Casey Stoner-esque. So like Friday morning, out the door, bang, straight on it. Like there's no fucking. Let's fucking wind it up there, small but Johnny, and go.
Oh, he's not working his way up. He's just jumping right up. But he always did that. He always jumped.
No, he didn't. He wasn't always in the top.
Not as bad as not like Casey Stoner, but
but now he like Friday he hit the track. You could see he was on it. He was pushing Joe. Do you know what I mean? He was consistently faster than Pecco on race pace immediately. Do you know what I mean? And it was just looking at it, and then like as soon as like when you look at them in the sprint race or you look at them in today's race, immediately bang. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not waiting for the tires to heat up. He's not giving it. Oh, I'll give it 3 or 4 laps and then I'll push.
Well, Marquez did that for his whole career. He always jumped right on it. Because free practice 1 might as well be, free practice 1 is the same as free practice, Q2.
I know, but look, I think there's a lot of mentalities, and you see it quite a lot in riders. Like if a rider now from MotoGP was to switch over to World Superbikes, you would see it like it would take them 3 or 4 laps to bed into every race and then go. Do you know what I mean? It's just a natural thing. I suppose it's because the tires are much stiffer and harder.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That you have to get the heat into, like the Bridgestones, for example, years ago. Everyone except Casey used to take 5 or 6 laps to warm them up and then go. Do you know what I mean? Pecco, I still think Pecco is haunted by that high side. I just have that feeling that he's not trusting the bike as he should. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, and at that stage, Martin is gone. Do you know what I mean? He's like boom, down.
I didn't know if it was in his head or he was still having lingering injuries.
He said he hasn't fully recovered. Now, I did see a picture of him, and he still has a plaster on the back of his knee. Ooh. Now, unless there's something we don't know about the knee, but like he seems to be walking fine with it. He doesn't seem to be hobbling. Do you know what I mean?
Right. But knees take a long time because you always putting weight on them.
Look, I don't know. I think I think there's something there with the trust in the bike that he just doesn't have it right now. Do you know what I mean? And he did look better on the brakes this weekend. So he said that on the Sunday night after the Indian race, he stayed up till like 3 a.m. looking through videos and data and all of this, trying to understand what is going on with him. Now, I did read something from Danny Pedrosa after the race in Misano, and Danny was saying that he was looking at, obviously he had a good view of the arse end of Pecco, but the way the rear wheel of the bike was bouncing, it didn't look natural, it looked mechanical. So I wonder, were they running or trying to run something in Pecco's bike to help reattach the rear wheel when a rear wheel lifts under braking? Is kind of my kind of what I was kind of taking out. What that is, I don't know. Now,
they have a new launch device, don't they?
A few people were trying to say that that's thing. My understanding that launch control was in around Silverstone and Austria. Some people think that it came in Misano and it didn't. I know that for a fact. But they've had similar to this device on the bike all year, but they've fine-tuned it. Now, is he not running it this weekend, or was he not running it this weekend? I don't know. I haven't seen close-up shots of Pecco's handlebar, but his starts were complete shit. So, and also in the sprint race, I don't know, did you notice today's race, actually, sorry, when they came out of the pits, like he was almost leading, I believe, and then the fucking lot of them jumped him coming out of the pits, so it was like he wasn't fucking switched on.
Right.
Which kind of brings me back to, like, I think he just doesn't have the trust yet in the bike. So I think it was interesting. I think the KTMs did really well this weekend. Really well. And
especially for being only his second time out.
Second time out in a carbon frame, yeah.
Carbon frame, yeah.
Like, okay, it's helped Jack Miller, definitely. And even Binder said, that the frame does make a good difference and whatever, it gives him more rear grip, which what he's looking for. But again, Miller still has that same problem of he's fine for 5 or 6 laps and then he starts to wear the rear tire way too quickly. Do you know what I mean? Compared to others. And I suppose it's more emphasized because Brad is very good on his tires, and then so he doesn't tend to fall back, whereas Jack, blue smoke comes out off the tire. Do you know what I mean?
Right. He burns them up early.
Yeah, he does, and then he tries to manage it out, which is okay, I guess, but it's not. It's not the way to treat the tires, clearly. Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't have any tire towards the end of the race. Like, I always remember Rossi said that he runs his own race till 10 laps to go and then he manages it out. Do you know what I mean? So
it's been said a few times, matter of fact.
Yeah. So, and then he manages it out from there, and like, I think Jack is already struggling before he gets to 10 laps to go. Do you know what I mean? I think he's struggling after 10 laps, personally. But I thought it was a good weekend for the Hondas.
I think it was the same. Dude, it was the same. It was just Marquez pushing hard.
No. Mir was up there as well. And then he
was 13.
No, he got up, though. He got up a bit in the sprint.
Yeah, it was just the.
I'll give it to him because.
No, I actually picked Marquez to win because he's so good on the rain. I swear he could win in the rain with a Chinese scooter. No,
I'll be honest. Like, Mir was up there in the sprint, and I was like, okay, but apparently now he's dumped the 2024 chassis.
They said they didn't make any improvement. You know what I mean? It's the same bike. So how can they improve? You know.
Yeah. No, look, like, apparently he was on Friday. Friday he was running some of the 2024 parts, but apparently he's dumped them all now, which is not really a good sign. I thought Mark did really well. Do you know what I mean? I have to say, I'll take my hat off to him, Joe. Like, he rode.
Oh, do you remember? You remember Indianapolis years ago? It was 2016 or 2017.
Yeah.
And he was running in a downpour in slicks and almost won the race. That is the greatest rain race of all time, folks. But that's how good he is in the rain.
Yeah, no, look, I think he did well. I think, you know, there was extra pressure on him this weekend as well, being Honda's home race. Now, seeing that, the fans, I know Motegi is not the most accessible place, but I think there was like a weekend thing of 70,000 people again. Do you know what I mean? Which is tiny. Do you know what I mean? When I look at Formula One in Suzuka, which is also a tough place to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I think across the weekend, like, it was like 300,000 people across the weekend. So kind of, you know, shows you the trouble that that MotoGP is kind of in. And I know we've mentioned this at every race, but they're the numbers that I look at. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're getting 100,000 fans across the weekend, and another series is getting 300,000, you know.
And what series was that?
Formula One.
Well, but Formula One.
But you do, because, and the reason I do is, like, Formula One is about 4 times more expensive to go to than MotoGP. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a financial thing if people are laying out money for that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. But it's been more popular than MotoGP for years and years and years. Why, I don't know. To me, it's like watching paint grow or grass grow.
Paint grow. Oh, okay.
Paint grow.
Whatever you're fucking smoking there, Jakey.
It's gotten worse. It's like paint.
But yeah, look, I just thought it was interesting that, you know, I don't think it's down to economic reasons that MotoGP's numbers are falling. Do you know what I mean? If people are still out there buying F1 tickets, like, I know for a fact, main grandstand in Catalonia for F1, right, is like €450 a person for the weekend.
That is godly expensive.
And you get in there for about €130 or €160 for MotoGP. So there's a massive difference.
But a lot of times, though, they're cutting. When the person used to go to both, they're choosing because they don't have enough money. They used to be able to afford both. Now they can just say, well, okay, all right, kids, we're going to do one or the other. Which one? You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I look, I would always look at it in the way that the numbers were down in Spain and Italy, right, which are two of the main meccas of fans for MotoGP. And if those numbers are down, you know, it's time to worry, in my opinion. But yeah, look, I thought the two-handed American and Mir, I was happier with them this weekend because it looked, I won't say they looked fantastic, or I won't turn around and say Honda are back, because they're not, but they looked somewhat decent at times, you know. And there was at one stage, I think it was during the sprint, Mir was right behind Marquez. But I was like,
well, wasn't Mir's good in the rain himself? So I look at it just, you know,
no,
rain levels the playing field as it is, you know. And then look, good riders, they're rain specialists. So
they also raised the headstock of the bike, not raise the headstock of the bike. Now, before you have a hissy fit, they were bringing the 24. They raised the spacer for the triple clamp up on the bike. Actually,
I thought that they took that out, though. I thought after Marquez crashed with it.
No, it was still in there.
Still in there?
Yeah. So look, I think it was just yeah, look, I thought they looked better than normal. Aprilia's looked okay. I was just.
I don't
Aleix
know.
Espargaro has had 3 DNFs in 4 races, so
Yeah.
he did all right today. Yeah, Raul Fernandez, I'll give him praise. I think he got into the top 10 twice this weekend.
Yeah.
Just in case people say that I'm biased and don't like him. Sorry if facts fucking hurt you. But and I think just as I say that, Augusto Fernandez also had a really good weekend.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Raul Fernandez in today's race.
Very good weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And look, I did take a bit of grief about that during the week or whatever, and it's quite simply for me the way I look at it. And I don't see it with Raul. I don't really see it with Augusto either, right? But the way and the reason that I compare them is they're both on really good bikes, and they're both new to those bikes, not new to the tracks. Do you know what I mean? And quite simply, Augusto is kicking his ass.
Yeah. You know what I don't see? And guys, people are giving me all kinds of hell. Pedro Acosta. I don't see it yet. I must be blind. And I was
actually interested that he came out and said this over the course of the weekend that he doesn't know what is happening and maybe that he's going to stay another year in Moto 2.
Oh, really? Because,
So,
it was like, I've seen guys when they start going up to the classes, and if they do well, it's they get better and then better. He seems like the weight, the bigger bikes are making him worse, and it's not worse than worse, but he's not as good as he goes up with weight with bikes, the heavier bikes. So what happens when he hits the 1000cc bike?
I don't know. I think at this stage now, Jake, if it was like 15 years ago when everyone used to go in the piss and have a few beers the night before a race,
right,
and be eating out of a dirty burger van and whatever, I think he'd probably be in trouble. But I think the people in the Red Bull Academy or whatever, or the KTM Academy or whatever, I know, for example, like Audi and Red Bull have these special camps that they send their athletes to. And I think he'd be on a program to build that muscle that's required to shift those bikes. You know what I mean? To shift.
Oh, he has built himself up. He built himself up quite a bit from Moto 3 to Moto 2.
So I don't think that it'll get it. But I was actually watching something. It's called Between the Hedges. It's about the Isle of Man. It's on YouTube. It's a good little series. But John McGuinness, he was talking about, most road racers now use BSB or that to prep to ride road races. I think for Acosta, and John was just talking about it's all just like they don't give a fuck where they finish in the BSB championship. Do you know what I mean? They're just there to be bike fit for when it comes time to road race. And I think something like that will happen with Acosta. He'll be out in 1000cc something over the winter, and they will just make him used to lifting heavier bikes. Do you know what I mean? Over and back and small, stupid, low-speed circuits where it's really going to work you out.
Like a dirt track. He would be good. You would think a 750cc dirt tracker would work well.
Maybe something like that. But I know a lot of places don't like people doing motocross.
No, not motocross.
Oh, I know, but flat track. Hey, Pa, going left. Hey.
Yeah, go fast, go left.
Look, I think it was quite good. Oliveira had a bit of an off weekend, but I was really happy to see him today coming back through in the wet. You know what I mean? He has had a bit of a shit weekend, if I'm honest. Crutchlow, I thought Crutchlow's beating Morbidelli. I know Morbidelli. Like, what the fuck was he doing, staying out for 8 laps? Just, I you know what I reckon it was that someone was trying to fucking reach him by text message.
I was waiting for somebody to jump out in the track, like when they do airplanes on the tarmac. This. Come on in. Like 8 laps on it.
It was a bit silly.
The crash? Huh?
It was a bit silly, to be honest. Now, look, I suppose the whole Zarco incident, Yeah, that was a bit weird, right? And like the marshals cleared the bike off the circuit into a service road. He
Right, I
rolled
see that.
he rolled down the hill and then came out a little gap where the pit lane was on that hill. Do you know what I mean?
But they had that square block, and it looked like that the marshal had opened it up and pushed the bike through. So how are you supposed to stop it? If I'm the rider, I didn't do it. The marshal took my bike and put it through, and then I get the fine.
But for me, Jake, it was like, what's the alternative? So the circuit is live, right? You want me to go back into the gravel trap, back onto the track with a damaged bike on a wet track. Now, we all know this from BSB, right? That if a slight drop of fucking oil gets onto that track from a bike that's just gone off at like 140 plus mile an hour, right? Well, I don't think it's that fast, maybe 100. Anything could be cracked, right?
Right.
He puts that bike back onto the track, freewheels it down the fucking hill into the pit lane. A, he's putting himself in danger because there could be someone else crash.
Right.
B, he's putting the marshals in danger because they're out there obviously trying to fucking stop him from going back that way. And C, he could contaminate the track. And even at that stage, we didn't know the race was going to be cancelled or the rest of the restart wasn't going to be attempted.
Yeah, if you think oil is slippery, have oil and water mix. That
exactly.
Makes it,
and that's where I was like going, are they really going to stick to this thing that he didn't enter the pit lane from the correct way when he was guided by the marshals because the marshals took the bike out? Can you imagine nowadays trying to take a crash bike and run it back towards the track? Every marshal tries to stop you. You always see the marshals trying to stop you. Anyway, I just thought it was a very silly rule. Now, Oliveira got away with it. Oliveira got away with the restart because his bike wasn't pulled into the actual pit lane. So he had visor issues, apparently.
Yeah.
And he stopped, but the bike stayed in pit lane. And that way then he was allowed restart, but he was a couple of laps down. So he was 18th or 19th. Vignales was a lap down as well. I thought he was unlucky at the start. But again, you could see it that the marshals were trying to fucking stop him, not help him. But look, I thought, overall, I thought the races were good. I'm a bit skeptical about why they I get it that it was raining. I 100% get it that it was raining when the lads went out again and they were putting up their hands, and I fully agree with that. But they still had an hour and a half or an hour and 20 minutes or so left to run a 20-minute race.
Okay.
And they called it a bit early. That's just my view. Do you know what I mean? They could have given it 10 or 15 minutes to attempt the restart again.
I'm assuming that they have the weathers that they can tell what's going to happen in the next hour.
I would assume so. But listen, look, from the Formula One teams, the best way to check the weather is put your hand outside and say, yes, it's raining. Yeah. No, it's not. Do you know what I mean? Because and also I was looking at BSB today in Donington Park, and I think Jamie Whittam said it best. He said, everyone's weather app tells us something different.
Yeah.
So he's like, pick your one, and you stick with that. So no, look, I just thought, was it called a little bit early? That was kind of the feeling that I got when it was called. I'll be very honest. It was like, they could have maybe given it another go, or given it another 20 minutes and then made a decision and shortened it to a 10-lap sprint or a 6-lap sprint or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
So we're down to 3 points, right?
So it's down to 3 points now. Yeah.
Jesus.
Now, I think this is a bit different though than like a lot of people are making an awful lot out of the gap closing and whatever, right? So the incident in Catalonia, in my view, was not a fault. Do you know what I mean? It's not a mistake, right? So that's just one of those things. but you bring an injury into it, right? And he was injured in Misano. Do you know what I mean? He rode really well, don't get me wrong, but like I never even expected Pecco to get anywhere near where he did in Misano. Do you know what I mean? And then you throw in India. India then was a mistake. Do you know what I mean? So I would say
India was a mistake.
It was, and
it was so hot. It was so hot that you.
No, but he went on a hard tire, right? When everyone.
Well, you know what's odd? I was about to call you, and I said, he's changed his front tire a second before the race. He's doomed because how many times is he went down when he changed his tire on the grid? 6 out of 6.
I don't know. It like for me when no, and I believe he had it. It wasn't last minute because the commentators were talking that he was going to go the stiffer front or the thing. So I think there was a discussion about it, but like anyway.
I thought it was the last minute. He changed
it wasn't.
Other times.
No,
all the other times every time he did a last minute, he fell.
So like for me, when I look at it, like. That was probably the mistake that he made. It wasn't the crash.
People were saying the crash was a mistake, and I'm like, no, he was just,
he was pushing, but he was on a harder tire, and I get why he was on it. It made sense that he was struggling with the front for braking. He wanted more stiffness off of the tire. Makes sense, right? But I always kind of have this feeling or this kind of rule of thumb. Like if you're battling with someone for the championship, you don't go off and take silly risks on tires. So it's like if it's raining, he puts on a soft wet. You put on a soft wet too.
Yeah. You're right. That was the mistake you're talking about. I thought you meant the crash was
no. And like the crash was result of going with the stiffer tire, right? And he openly admitted that after. But like for me, if I take out the Catalunya one, which is 25 points, and whatever points that he dropped in Misano, now we're kind of getting into he's closed it down. Like I still really favor Bezzecchi, and we haven't talked about Bezzecchi this weekend, but I still really favor Bezzecchi to do damage in the championship because he is the one with zero, and I mean fucking zero expectation.
Right.
He's on a 22 bike. He's not on a factory team.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's in the.
He's not going to be for the next year.
He's not going to be next year. Do you know what I mean? He's absolutely zero to lose. Whereas Pecco, obviously he has, but so does Martin. And that's why I think Bezzecchi is the danger man. And okay, Saturday he got his cough softened by the crash, and that was a fucking fast crash that he had on Saturday morning.
I didn't see it.
It was a fucking egg beater, absolute egg beater. So you could see why he was like sore. Do you know what I mean? And
I love your old freaking Scottish or Irish sayings.
Yeah,
it's an egg beater.
So basically, do you know what you do tonight? Crack an egg into a cup and beat it, and that's exactly what it fucking happened to him. He fucking tumbled through. It was similar enough to what Serco had. Do you know what I mean? But I think he's the danger man because he has fucking nothing to lose. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if Martin does it, I still think it'll affect Martin, where it won't really affect Bezzecchi. I do need to have a chat about Yamaha. It's just fucking terrible.
But you're tough on Yamaha because you're a fan. It's odd. Yeah. Fanboys a fanboy they can do no wrong, but an actual fan is tough on their brand, and you're tough on your brand.
I am because they're fucking down the back of it.
Yeah. But Mortabelli, right? Never get his name right. Right. He went out, riding around for 8 laps with slicks. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And they was never any good in the rain.
Who?
Fabio's never been very good in the rain. He was always
he's all right. Well, like this time, was it? No, it wasn't this race. It was the next race, wasn't it? Yeah. Look, I think he did okay. They did okay in the sprint race, and that. But I just expected a wee bit more, especially because of the nature of the track. I suppose it is kind of a Yamaha-ish track. Do you know what I mean? There is some.
Mm-hmm.
There is some hard accelerations, which doesn't really suit it, but the straights aren't long straights. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
they don't get that murdered on top speed. But
yeah, I thought he would do better in the sprint when it was dry. It really did. But then he must be losing his. I mean, it's tough when you got to ride 110% all the time. You know, you got to get to your psyche.
Yeah. Now look, he was already pissed off before he got to the racetrack. Do you know what I mean? Because they did have, and I suppose this is the whole Marquez situation is stealing all the headlines, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute. But how would I say? Like Fabio did meet with the chiefs of Yamaha as well during this week. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, he did.
He did. Yeah. And he just said, "Look, words are words." Do you know what I mean? No, they mean fucking nothing, Joe. Which, it doesn't fill me with confidence that Yamaha are going to produce next year either. Do you know what I mean? Or that there's a revolutionary thing. And this is something where
we have 4 iterations of the Linline motor. Like 4? You're going to wait 4 motors out before you start getting it.
Yeah, but that's 4 motors by the end of this year. Do you know what I mean? That's to go into next year. I would reckon so. Like I would hope that they would be testing 2 versions.
Yeah.
At the end of season test in Valencia, but what they say, So I suppose look, Yamaha, and what I will commend Honda for is that they're very publicly their dirty laundry is being very publicly aired. So like Joe, Mark, and whoever are saying you need to get these engineers and that engineers, and it is coming out that yes, they're getting this engineer and that engineer. I don't know, have you heard this, but apparently Davide Bravo has been contacted by Honda, and Massimo Ravola has been contacted by Honda about coming in and overseeing the projects. Also, Maverick Vinales has been contacted by Honda.
Yeah. I doubt that they'll. I really do, because
Ravola is tied in, right?
Yeah.
Davide Bravo, he could possibly do it. Like he's fallen out of love, or I think he could be gone from Alpine, so he could be available. But that would dump Pooch out. But what I will commend Honda for is that they're publicly addressing. Well, they've no choice, right?
Yeah, Marquez asked for them specifically, though. It's not like
I know that, but it's out there. It's been spoken about. What's happening with Yamaha? No one knows fucking nothing.
Nothing, right?
So if you know nothing, you expect nothing.
Yeah. But then you don't. Then again, you don't have Fabio going, "I want this guy, this guy, this guy," and tells it to the press either. So that to force the guys to do it, to force Yamaha's hand.
So look, I don't know. I just think,
but they shouldn't have to force his hand.
Exactly. Like even, I don't know. It was a very public race for Yamaha, and they didn't do great. So again, didn't even get out of Q1 for fuck's sake. Sure what I mean? So
he's one of my favorite, if not the favorite riders. Is Quartararo. When he pushes 110%, I got to give it to him. And I like to see the inline 4 run still. It's like, I don't know.
You're definitely smoking something, Jake.
Yeah, wait, it's like it's at its end of its rope. Okay, it's a dead end, but you still go,
one last time for all time's sake.
Yeah, one time. That's cross by and you give it a hit.
That's how I arrived in this world. Yeah, apparently my father told me I was one last time for all time's sake.
Yeah, right.
So Yeah, Marc Marquez. Now, I think it was a really good thing that he came out at the start of the weekend and he said, I'm not going to announce anything in Japan. Right. Firstly, it would be highly disrespectful to Honda if he announced that they were splitting up, especially because he was invited to the museum.
Which on the other side of that, you know what was odd? Now I read this, right? But like 2 places, it said Honda wanted to do some type of a ceremony for splitting because this is going crazy with all stuff.
Every season that they come to Japan, the Honda they're all invited to the Honda Museum and whatever. So like there was pictures of Mir and Marquez sitting on Nicky Hayden's bike actually in the museum and that. And it's kind of like there is kind of like a traditional event that goes on there then, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But look, I think it would have sourced an awful lot of bad press during
I would think so too. Yeah.
So look, I can kind of understand it. Gigi Delinia has come out and said it's actually really funny to quote actually because I was pissing myself laughing when I saw it. But it's really, really how do I say down the line of that Mark wants us rather than we want Mark. Let me get the quote up because I was laughing with Ghost Rider on this earlier on. So Gigi has come out and said Mark has decided to leave Honda for an unofficial Ducati. All the more underlines the fact that he wants our bike, but it's clearly isn't an official announcement yet. I think there's a lot of things to do, and I think it's more complicated, the contract break. So I was then talking to someone else, and they said to me that Mark probably doesn't have an out in the last year of his contract. He probably had an out in the halfway through. He said that would be quite common that at just say
you signed the second year they had it out. I could have swore it was the third year, but anyhow, I've been looking all over the place.
Yeah, so
I haven't found anything, by the way.
But that's where. So I still reckon it's down to 2 situations. One, he can't. Himself and Honda haven't agreed how much it's going to cost, or the permission, or whatever. Right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if Honda were pig fucking ignorant and said, "No, you have a contract. That's it." And he said, "Fine."
That's going to be tough after they went public and said, "Oh no, we're the nice people. We're not going to hold anybody."
Yeah. But what? No, what they no. We get it very straight. They said if a rider doesn't want to ride for us, then he won't ride for us. They never said that we let him go fucking wherever he wants to go.
Yeah.
But
you got to deal with the public. The public isn't. They don't split hairs like that. They're not that bright. When they hear that, they think Honda's going to let Honda promise them to let him go.
They can spin that. They can spin that 180 degrees very quickly. But so I think that is one of them, and I think the other one, and it's probably the more crucial one, especially for Ducati, and this is how this is really what I think it is that I still stand by the thing that if Ducati wanted him, they'd put him on an official bike into an official team and whatever, right? They would throw whatever they needed at him. If they really wanted him, they would. But I don't think Ducati, because there's also the rumor that there's a pre-contract signed for KTM for 2025. Now, if that's true, why in the name of good God would Ducati turn around to Grassini and say, yeah, it's okay to sign Mark for 1 year. He's going to come in. He's going to learn your GP23 bike, right? And he's going to bring that data. Well, not data, but I think he's going to bring the strength and weaknesses analysis that he will have as a rider.
I don't think that would go too far. My point of view.
I think the complete opposite. I think it's massive.
I just keep going back to Rossi. Remember, Rossi thought he was an engineer and it went nowhere. Same deal.
Rossi.
if there's a contract for KTM, a pre-made contract, I wouldn't take him.
Yeah, but why would you? But what? Like my point is that Ducati have spent hundreds of millions on developing the bike, right?
Right.
Why would they give it all that information to arguably one of the best pilots in the place,
right,
to bring that feel? Like Gigi turned around and he said the other day, he's like, or whatever it was about their bike and whatever, and he's like, obviously we're doing something right because we're 1, 2, and 3 in the championship.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't think Ducati are as arrogant to turn around and say, yeah, we're going to give one of the best pilots who probably has arguably the best feel for a bike all that information that he can compute in his head for a 1-year deal, which then he's going to bring to another manufacturer that is far closer. Like, for example, and I know this loan thing came out, which is complete horseshit as well. But I could see them.
Yeah, but these are riders. They're not even college educated. I mean, they're not the brightest bulbs in the box. They're not going to transfer much over.
It doesn't matter. I can tell you this: it doesn't matter if Jack Miller can go into KTM and convince KTM this is how a good bike feels like. It's all about the secret. How does it turn? What do we do?
Yeah,
guarantee you. Mark goes to KTM, or Mark goes to Aprilia, or Mark goes to wherever. I would think that Grassini are actually trying to sign him for a 2 or 3 year deal, and that is coming from Ducati. Now,
most people think it's a done deal, and I think it's a done deal too, because it would be ridiculous for him to go into all this problems and all this hoopla and then not have it signed. Because
I think it's done, but I think the delay is Honda, and I think the delay is the contract. I
think the contract's fine.
I can't see it going for 1 year though. Can you? Would Ducati be that stupid to give away their IP?
If it's signed if they have a pre-contract, if they have a contract with KTM in 2025, that would be stupid. Yeah, but if they don't, you know what? He would probably go there. He's going to win the title, and he's going to stay at Ducati.
I don't know. I think he's only 2 or 3
wins,
years
he stays, or he does well, he stays. He's not going to go. He's not one of them people that jumps around. God forbid. The guy hit bunk beds at 28. He doesn't move very much. His life does not have change in it.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, look, I'm sure we'll find out in due course. But to be honest,
did you see the video? By the way, there was a short video on YouTube, and Marquez was dying laughing. Somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, Mark Marquez, you ever hear the song 'Should I Stay or Should I Go Now' by The Clash?" You know, and he goes, and fucking dies laughing. He's like pissing himself. So I was like, "Oh, that's a sign right there."
Well, look, I think Gigi kind of stole a little bit of his thunder today. Do you know what I mean? But
it did.
Look, to be honest, I think the whole Marquez situation is actually being talked to death, and I think a lot of fans are actually getting a bit pissed off with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you said you tell us, and now you're fucking pulling the piss. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's actually kind of damaging himself a small bit, let's just say. But look, overall, I thought this weekend's race was good. Do you know what I mean? Except
we didn't get the Bezzecchi.
Oh, Bezzecchi? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, we did because he got a fucking egg beater. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well, that's where we went. We went to the egg beater. Now he didn't have any future past the egg beater. Now he's just
So I think I think it, like, realistically, if you look at the position that he got in the sprint race, if you told him that when he was in the gravel trap, he would have fucking bit the arm off you, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that kind of quietened him for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously in the wet, it's so
really
tricky
good in the wet.
Yeah, but it's so easy to fall. Like you saw Binder, who was pretty good as well. Do you know what I mean? In the wet. Mm-hmm. Just slight lock at the front tire. Like Martin nearly went down in the wet. Do you know what I mean? When he ran wide that time, you could see the front tire just completely lock. Now, I will be honest. I was watching the race with one eye this morning. I was a little bit hungover. So I thought. So, so I was like, "Am I sure that happened?" Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah. So no. Look, overall, I thought it was good. Like 6 races to go. I think. Yeah, I think the next one is Mandalika, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pleco needs to get out of these survival races.
That is another survival race, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you remember Mr. Marquez fucking launching himself to the moon.
Yes. And an inch of mud on the track, and
yeah. So it is, unfortunately, it is another survival race, but it's one of those ones that it can fucking bite you very badly, and I have a feeling that like as I mentioned it at the start, I have a feeling that there's a couple of twists left in this.
Hopefully the asphalt stays